I'm going to go over our vision presentation for tonight. I know we started a few minutes late here, so I'll try to make it as smooth and quick as I can. But just for those of you on the call, my name is Jeff Hereford, and I've been with the company now this is my 13th year. And love doing what we do here. And tonight I'm going to share with you a little bit about what we do and some of the concepts that we teach and some of the benefits and possibilities of working with our company. So let's just get started here. As you see on the screen, our technology portion of our company is called WealthWave. And what we're trying to do is disrupt one of the biggest industries out there with the financial industry. So we want to do this so that Americans can dream again. So we're going to talk about a little bit of that here coming up. So the first thing that we see is a couple statistics. And over here on the left, you'll see that 2 in 3 adults worldwide are financially illiterate. And basically what that means is they don't know anything about money. You know, they may know how to put money in under their mattress or in a savings account, but when it comes to knowing the basics of how money works, or where to put your money to get the best returns or the most growth or utilizing it the most, they don't know anywhere to do with that. At the bottom you see is 1 out of 2 Americans are financially illiterate. And that's just here in America. And we rank 14th in literacy worldwide. So we're not number 1 on the bucket. We're not even in the top 5. We're pretty low when it comes to financial literacy. Now over here on the right, you'll see that compounding, 66% of us don't understand crucial financial concepts. Kind of what I mentioned on the left side, but we don't know concepts of compound interest or rates of return or dollar cost averaging or, just some of the different concepts that are very basic that we should be aware of to help us grow our money and utilize our money to the fullest. So at the bottom here, only 1/3 of Americans get how compounding works, leaving the majority of the public in the dark. So if you know how compounding interest works, you are better off than most people out there. Okay? Now this is a funny one. We have this statistic over here on the left. Sex education is required in all schools, but financial education is not. It's required in all 50 states, but 17 states only require at least 1 class on personal finance. And I know I took a class in high school on economics, and that was it. I knew nothing else about finance, knew nothing else about saving or where to save or when to save. So it's just crazy that, in today's day and age, we don't require this more in the classroom. Now, on the other side, we see Wall Street is waking up to a $35.3 trillion opportunity. So what that means is this new group of millennials, they are looking at money differently. So even though that they're not educated, they are thinking or expecting their money to double exponentially or very, very high. But again, if they don't know where to put their money, how are they going to achieve those goals? Everybody wants to make as much as they can, or they want to not have to work as much as they can, but if our money is not positioned correctly for us, all that will never happen. So, but millennials in today's age, everybody wants to start a business, or everybody wants to put money in the stock market or Bitcoin or whatever it is, and they expect it to grow exponentially in a short amount of time. So the next thing we want to take a look at is our debt. So debt usually is a way of life for most people. we have a little quote up here from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He says, "A man in debt is so far a slave." It basically means that, as we are in debt, we are pretty much locked up and only focused on paying those debts off. And if we're paying minimums or we're paying just over minimums, we're going to be paying debts off for, it could be half our lifetime, depending on how much of a balance we carry. So we're always focused on paying off those debts instead of taking that money and utilizing it to enjoy life or put money away for our retirement or, for whatever we want to use it for. So most Americans, they carry an average balance of over $16,000. And, rhetorical question, but just think about your own personal scenario and, where you might fall. Are you have less than that? Do you have more than that? Do you pay your balances off every month? Do you pay them off, the minimums until they're paid off years down the road? But one thing about debt is it can really put a strain and stress on your life and your lifestyle. And, if a couple bad months or a couple, overdrafts or whatever the case is can really make a difference and hinder people. And debt has really been a problem in our society from a financial standpoint and also from a health standpoint. So that's one thing that we want to take a look at is trying to get a handle on any debts that we have. In the middle here, we see over half of Americans can't afford their mortgage without making a major sacrifice. So first off, a lot of people get into a mortgage and
you're lucky. You're lucky. They go sit down. Yeah, go. I'm going.
If you can mute your line. But I was just going to say is, a lot of people get into a mortgage because that's what they may have been taught is to own a home, but a lot of times they purchase too much of a home, meaning their payment is too much than what they can afford, as opposed to, purchasing something that's smaller, that's manageable, that isn't going to get them in a bigger amount of debt. And then lastly, we see the average American has less than $4,500 in the bank and less than $1,000 in long-term savings. So they may have $4,500 or $4,000 in the bank, but that may be operating expenses to pay the bills, to pay the mortgage or rent or groceries and all that stuff. And really, they only have $1,000 in savings for retirement or long-term. So those are some staggering statistics that we really want to take a look at and try and help people out with. So 61% of people are more afraid of outliving their money than die. And that's just a crazy, crazy number. So outside of debt, let's say we're on the flip side of things and we were able to save good and have money to retire on. But now all of a sudden, 61% of people don't think that they have saved enough. Because I don't know about you, but I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I don't know if I'm going to be here till age 110, till age 85, and whatever the case is, and if I have only saved money to last me till age 100, but I end up living till age 110, well, there's a problem, right? I'm not going to have enough money for my life, the longevity. So that's one thing that we do want to do is make sure that we plan, not just plan for a retirement, but plan for pretty much the remainder of our life. So down here at the bottom we see is what happened to the three-legged stool of retirement. So what that means is a lot of companies in the past have given out a pension, which is a retirement vehicle. And basically, you would just stay with the company for so long and then retire, and they would take care of you for, the rest of your life. But 50% of Fortune 500 companies offer traditional defined benefit retirement plans in 1998 compared to 5% in 2016. And reason being is just because pensions, for the most part, are becoming too much of an asset for the company to provide for their employees, or the retired employees. So they've had to cut back and basically use different objectives to offer to their employees. Social Security, when Social Security started, there was 45 workers for every retiree collecting Social Security. Now it's less than 3 to 1. So for every 45 people that was working, one person was retired. And now for every 3 people that are working, one person is retired. So there's a lot less money to be utilized for the retirees. And, who knows in the next 10 years or 5 years, 15 years, if it's going to be 1 to 1. So it's crazy that, they thought that Social Security would be the answer, but, it might be the answer for some people right now, but if we're looking 20, 30 years down the road, it might not be there for us. And then personal savings, increasing the responsibility of shifting into the individual, is increasingly the responsibility is shifting to the individual to fund their own retirement and dreams for their future. And that's one thing that we see is we don't want to rely on a company to provide for us. We don't want to rely on the government to provide for us. It's up to us to provide for ourselves. So we need to make sure that we set something up properly for ourselves so that we don't have any problems if pensions get reduced or 401ks or even Social Security. So that's the three-legged stool. This is an interesting statistic too. $130,357. That is the annual cost to live the American dream, according to a survey that Americans mention on themselves. So if we're not making $130,000 a year, we're not able to pay off the bills, pay off the house, enjoy vacations, enjoy time, on our own with our family, whatever the case is. That's the amount that the survey was done. Only 16 million U.S. households, around 1 in 8, earned that $130,000 in 2014. So if you think about that, 1 in 8 families is going to be able to basically live the American dream that they want. The other 7 are going to struggle and may not retire at all or live that dream. Just have hope that in their next lifetime it'll happen. This one's an interesting one too. No state in the U.S. had a combined household income that averaged more than $62,000 a year. Not to say that some households did, but on average, combined income was not more than $62,000, which is crazy to me. And is this wide gap a result of America's poor financial literacy? Where will people find the tens of thousands of dollars they need to bridge the gap? And that's what we try to do is help people, position them to be in a better position to get to their American dream. It doesn't have to be 130,000, but if they maybe their American dream is 100,000 or 150,000, whatever the case is. But our goal is to help families and individuals get to their American dreams. So with our company, with the Wealth Wave, we see 3 innovations within our company. So these innovations, we want to enable us to close that gap between just the American people and their American dream. So the first thing we see is financial education. By making financial literacy available to everyone, we're empowering 99% to take control of their finances. We're trying to educate people to put things in place for themselves, to make sure that they have enough money saved for retirement, for their entire life. in case something happens, if they get sick, if we happen to leave before we think we would. Whatever the case is, we want to make sure that we educate someone properly. Disruptive technology. We have high-tech, high-touch tools equip our leaders to engage more prospects more effectively, more efficiently. So what that means is we have multiple ways to get this education out to someone. We're able to do it within our office locally in Oak Brook, or Oak Brook Financial Center. We can do it at a local office around the country. We can meet with someone face-to-face in their home or at a coffee shop or whatever the case is. But we also have multiple avenues to get this education out to someone while they're in the privacy of their own home, and they can watch something at midnight in their bed, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon after they've put the kids down to sleep for a nap, or whatever the case is, on their own time. So that's one thing that we pride ourselves on, is being able to get the message out to someone in multiple avenues. And then another innovation we have is financial team building. So with that, the economics of the financial combined with the scale of team building creates a limitless entrepreneurial scenario. So we're going to talk about this here in a little bit, but what we do, we educate someone or educate a family on how money works and how they're able to save or put into a different product so that they can reach their financial goals. But we also have a side of our company that we're able to help people make extra money. And it can be part-time money, it can be full-time money, it could be spare time money, whatever the case is. If someone has a downfall or a shortfall, I should say, of $500 a month for retirement, and they're in a scenario where they're not going to be able to make $500 more per month during work, well, that might be the answer, is working with us. And we have a lot of scenarios. Team building is a very big thing with our company, and we could show you more on that. So we'll touch base a little bit on some of those numbers here in a little bit. I always love showing this one. Is, sometimes we say to ourselves, okay, I want to have $1 million when I retire. And we basically say, whatever your retirement number is, if you take 5% of that, to be conservative, that is about how much you will need annually during retirement. So example is if you have $1 million saved and you take 5% of that, that is $50,000. So annually, you would be pulling in $50,000 on an account that had $1 million already saved. But to get to that $1 million, what's it going to take? What is the daily and monthly amounts you need? And what's the interest rate? So in this example, we're showing that if you were getting 8% return on your money every year, what would you need to save every single month or every single day to get to that $1 million by age 65? Now, if we're young, if we're 20 or 25, it's going to be a smaller amount. So it's going to be about $190 or $266. And that's going to get us to our $1 million. And you see our average is our monthly income. That's basically just our average income. Now, if we are a little bit closer to retirement, let's say we're 45 or 50, well, we need to save significant amount more. So instead of $190, we need to save almost $1,700. And that is one reason why we always suggest starting early as opposed to waiting until we're older. Because to get to the same results, we have to save significant amount more. So just take a look at this chart and just think, okay, whatever age you're at, where do I fall? And, am I on track? Have I been saving? If I'm 35 and I've only been saving $300 a month, well, I have a little bit of shortfall if my goal is $1 million. So those are just some of the things to think about. And this is just an eye opener when it comes to actually putting things into perspective on what we do need to save. Rule of 72. Now, this was another eye opener for me. So Rule of 72 is a mathematical formula that Albert Einstein made it famous. And basically what it says is whatever interest rate you gain on your money, you take 72 and you divide that by the interest rate, and that's an estimate of how many years it takes your money to double. So if you think about it, if you're getting 1% at the bank, or 1% in any account, 72 divided by 1 is 72. So your money will double every 72 years. Not too exciting, right? So let's put this in a little bit in perspective, some numbers over here. So we have a 29-year-old in all three examples, and we're saying that 65 is retirement. And that 29-year-old had $10,000 as a lump sum that he was able to save, that she was able to save. So the first one, they get 2% return on their money. So their money doubles every 36 years. All right. By the time they are 65, their money would have doubled once, and it would be worth $20,000. So not too exciting, but it did double. Now, if they just got a little bit more, they got 4% return, their money doubles every 18 years. So that same 29-year-old, by the time they're 65, their money would double up to $40,000. A little bit better than $20,000, right? So let's say you can even get 6%. And 6%, your money doubles every 12 years. So again, the same 29-year-old, their money doubles up to $160,000. So our goal is to try and help you find the higher returns. And, even in some accounts, 6% is a little bit conservative. We cannot guarantee that's going to happen, or we have a product that will guarantee that every year it will reach that, but we do have products that do provide those returns, and we do show people that, it is even possible to get higher returns and double your money fast. But yeah, this was really an eye-opener when I saw this, because it just lets me know that, okay, I might be saving money, but is my money being saved in the best spot? So not everything that you see on a billboard or outside of a grocery store or bank is going to be the best place to save. There are different accounts out there. You can go out and find them, but we also are able to help you put your money in a better position to provide better returns for yourself. Now, Rule of 72 is funny because it works for us, but it also can work against us. So in this scenario, it's working for us, okay? How it works against us, a lot of times we have the little plastic things in our wallet or our purse, right? Credit cards. And do the banks, most of the times, or pretty much all the time, a bank is backing that credit card, right? So do they charge us 2%, 4%, or 6%? No, they charge us 18, 24, 30%, whatever it is. And so the banks know the Rule of 72 and how it works. So it's funny that, they'll tell us to go ahead and save our money, and they'll give us 2%, but then when we want to borrow money from them, they'll charge us 18 or 20%. So who's in the winning scenario there? The bank is, or the financial institution. But, we're in a lose-lose situation if we don't know how this stuff works. So that was a big thing when I saw the Rule of 72, and I try to present this to everybody I see just so that they are more aware of where to put our money, and do I really need to borrow so much money or take a loan out or, whatever the case is, and be aware that, okay, if I take out a loan, this is how long it's going to take me to pay it back, basically, and what it's going to cost me to pay it back. So again, Rule of 72 was a big eye-opener for me. All right, now the S&P 500. A lot of times people, they don't know where to put their money. Now, we just showed you the Rule of 72 is a concept of the interest rates you can return, but some people say, okay, that's great, but I don't know exactly where to put my money. Now, outside of an individual consultation to let you know exactly what products are specific for you, in this example, we're seeing that the S&P 500 has still been one of the best places to put our money, depending on the product, obviously. But in this example, we're showing the S&P 500 rates of returns from 2000 to 2017, so over the last 17 years. So you can see every single year or every single month, we have ups and downs. The first major downturn was basically after 9/11, and markets lost 49%, but then they bounced back and gained 101%. And then we had the mortgage crisis, we lost 56, 57%, but then ever since we've gained 256%. So even though we've had our ups and downs, had we had left our money in the market over that entire 17 years, we would be significantly higher than if we got scared and pulled our money out early. So you see that every single year, the average annual return was about 4.59%. But over that entire span, we would have returned almost 58%. All right? Oops, excuse me. And then, we do factor in inflation. So inflation would have roughly been about 2.45 per year. So when you look at this, one thing that we say is over your lifetime, you should have a few downturns. You want to have some negatives with the positives. And you do want to see the markets go down, because that's the best time to buy, or the best time to purchase more shares of whatever account you're in. Because if you're in for the long haul, you will ultimately gain. And if we were to show you this, since the market has started, it's gone the same exact way. About every 7 to 9 years, we've seen a negative downturn and then a positive. So again, S&P 500 has been what we've seen as the best place to put our money at this time. All right, so kind of what I was just talking about, we have this market scenario. If we were to increase 10% 1 year and then go down 10%, we did that for 10 years. But in this example, the red is showing that what would happen if we went up 10 and then down 10 every single year for 10 years. All right, so we would start at 1,000, and when we gain 10%, lose 10%, by the time we finish at year 10, we would be at 951. Now the blue line, we're showing that we're getting 10%, but we're losing 10%, but we do have a floor of 0. So what I mean by a floor is, if we're going to lose 10%, we're going to get nothing. We're just going to stay where we're at. So if you see here in year 2, this would have been, we would have had 10% growth. And then when we had our normal 10% loss, we would have stayed at 0. And then we would have 10% growth, stayed at 0, 10% growth, stayed at 0, 10, 0, 10. All right. So just by taking out those negatives, we end up with 1610 as opposed to 951. So we've made money, okay? In today's age, a lot of times people would rather get a 10% increase and have a floor that they're not going to lose money than potentially gain 30% in 1 year and lose 20% or 30% the next year. So they'd rather know that, you know, they're not going to lose money even though they're not gaining the highest interest on the end. All right. And, you know, we've seen different products come out and things that mirror what the blue line does, that you won't lose money. And it's been a win-win for some of our clients. Not to say that some of the different fluctuating products have not done well, which they have. But some people, they don't want to risk it. Or if we're nearing retirement, we want to make sure that we're not going to lose 10% of our money if we have $1 million. And that's $100,000. You know, some people can't stomach that and never come back from that. All right, now another thing we want to talk about is taxes. So, and this is what we're showing here is, if you operated a farm, on which would you rather be taxed, the seed or the harvest? And a lot of times we say, you know what, let's get taxed on the seed because it's at the smallest, okay, not the harvest. You know, the harvest, if we're harvesting corn or wheat, you know, we're going from the seed that's a centimeter, and then the harvest is tall 6 foot, 7 foot stalks or whatever it is. So same thing when it comes to financial products. Would you rather be taxed on the dollar that you put in, or would you rather be taxed on the $1 million it grows to? And in terms of taxes, it is better to get taxed on the dollar than the million, because we're paying less in taxes. All right, now, I mentioned earlier there was the stock market, but specifically 4 places people can put their money is either in qualified plans, which are going to be 401ks or IRAs, equities, it's going to be stocks and bonds, real estate, you might have mortgages or rental properties, and then banks and CDs or savings accounts. I'm sorry, bank accounts, savings and CDs. All right. For the most part, that's where everybody puts their money. Now, over here on the right, if you can read, we have this Swiss Army knife. So first, this little box on the Army knife, it says IUL, and that stands for Indexed Universal Life, which is life insurance. So one thing with the IUL product, it has a lot of different benefits that may be more beneficial than just putting all your money in a 401k or all your money in a bank account. So it kind of bundles a lot of the products and a lot of the strategies that someone has their money in, and it bundles it into one product. So with the Swiss Army knife, it does, with the IUL, it does give you zero market risk. So remember the example I showed you where if you didn't lose 10%, all right, that's a caveat of the Swiss Army knife. The IUL also allows you to utilize long-term care benefits on top of the product, as opposed to getting a standalone product that's going to be a lot more costly. So if we do get sick, we're able to utilize long-term care benefits. If we don't get sick and we're healthy, our money grows tax deferred. So basically, we put after-tax dollars into the product, and we're paying on the seed. So when our money grows to the harvest, we don't pay tax on it. So we have tax-free income when we pull our money out, and it is life insurance, so there is a death benefit attached to it. And if something would happen, that money does pass on tax-free to our beneficiaries. So we want to, in this particular product, we're able to bundle a lot of different items and ensure that a lot of different areas are taken care of. And even if we're passing this on to family members or beneficiaries, we're able to start creating a legacy of for them. All right, now a couple things here, and we see ourselves as basically similar to these areas, but within the financial industry. All right, so if we take a look at all these areas, first we have Uber, and Uber is the largest taxi service, but they own no cars. So they started in 2009. So you're talking, hasn't been 10 years, and they are the largest provider of taxi services, but they don't own any vehicles. Airbnb, they are now the largest room booking service, and they own no property. And everybody that signs up for Airbnb, they have their own property that they rent out, and they can make money off that or whatever, but Airbnb gets a percentage of that. And they started about 10 years ago too. Netflix, they're the largest entertainment service. They own no theaters. Everything they do now is basically streaming online. Before they had the discs, but now everything is streaming online. And they started in 2007. And then Alibaba, some people don't know Alibaba, but they are the largest retail service. They own no inventory. They started in 1999. So it's funny that all these services, they are the largest in their industry, and they don't own items in their industry, but they provide the services for them. So we kind of see ourselves similar. WealthWave is our technology platform, and the companies that we work with, we don't provide a WealthWave financial product or a WealthWave IUL or 401k. We have a lot of providers that we work with that provide those services, but we don't have a product of our own. So we see ourselves as the largest financial marketing company, and we don't have any products that we offer as our own. So we are trying to change the financial industry, as I mentioned at the beginning, and that is one thing that we pride ourselves on too. Okay, as we're finishing up here, a few last things here. Again, WealthWave, the largest financial literacy company. We have no classrooms. We don't employ teachers. We enroll no students. We require no tuition. We do have financial workshops at our office. They are not mandatory. Some people may want to come and learn from a classroom setting, so we do provide that. But again, a lot of the stuff that we do is technology based, so we don't have to meet in the classroom. We can provide stuff technologically for somebody. So a lot of times, and this is shifting a little bit to working with us. A lot of times if someone is working with us, we do provide some different websites. We have a site on how money works, and it is something that we've been able to utilize to get a lot of education out to people. If someone is more involved with us, we do have a WealthWave 360 site where you have access to all our high-tech tools to get that message out to people. Some of the videos that we provide that are very, very good, and one thing I would suggest is you get back with the person that invited you here and look at some of these videos, and just take a look for the knowledge and take a look to see if it might be beneficial to work with us. But we have a video. The first one we would suggest is End of Retirement as You Know It. that will touch base a little bit more on our company and a little bit more on some financial statistics. Change Your Literacy, Change Your Life is kind of the How Money Works video. Perfect Wave is going to be more of in-depth on working with us. A quick video on the Rule of 72 that's going to kind of reiterate what I talked about from a different view. And then to know a little bit more on the concepts of the IUL strategy, we have the Swiss Army Knife of Financial Services video. And whoever invited you can get you those videos. You know, at the drop of a dime, they could be text to you, they could be email, they could be, you know, whatever the case is. So it's very readily available to get you this education. All right, so what we want to do is we take a look at someone's dreams and we provide our leadership, and we want to help someone that is working with us to get them to their goals, financial goals, retirement goals, you know, whatever the case is. So our vision is to disrupt the status quo of the financial industry so families can dream again. And that is one thing that we've seen within our company from day one, and we continue to provide that. Our mission is to protect and build wealth for families we serve. So again, we want to provide that financial literacy so that families can make more conscious decisions, can be in better position, and you know, grow their money in the best place possible. And our system, again, the way we build is high touch, high tech, and high volume. You know, so we want to get this out to the masses. We have a leadership factory system that we can create outlets and move the products for the companies that we work with simultaneously. Some of the platforms that we use within our company. So I mentioned this presentation is on WealthWave or WealthWave 360. That's our marketing and technology partner. How Money Works, it's another educational platform. And you know, we have the websites here if you wanted to jot those down. But How Money Works, yes, again, it's a quick educational platform just to get you out some more of the financial education. We've also been able to partner with Outstand. This is more for our getting the message out to the prospects. We have different campaigns, different emails, websites, videos, applications, apps, you know, all of that. Our back office is World Financial Group. They provide our licensing for the products that we offer, companies that we work with, compensation, a whole gamut of things. And we are in the financial industry, and we do have a broker that we work with. That broker is Transamerica Financial Advisors. That provides all the security products and all the products within the market, if you're not aware of that. So anything that is market related, Transamerica would provide those items. As the broker, we do work with other companies though too. I know it sounds a little goofy, but we do have the security side of things. So we are regulated. We are in the financial industry. So this is not something that is a small operation. This is, you know, I forgot the amount off the top of my head, but this is a multi-billion, close to $1 trillion operation that Transamerica, World Financial Group, and WealthWave I have put together here. So a little bit, you know, as we finish up here, a little bit on economics. $88 trillion is in the financial industry. 25 trillion is in real estate, and 22 trillion is in retail. So if I was looking at things and said, okay, if I really want to change my outlook, or you know, I want to change my family's life, what is the best thing I can do? What industry? I could go and become a real estate broker, and some of you on the call may be that. But that is a $25 trillion industry. Or I could look at the financial industry, and that's an $88 trillion industry. And, you know, I always say that I want the best odds. So I want to be in the industry that provides the best backing or the greatest potential for growth. And that's why I look at the financial industry. I don't want to go through all this, but I mentioned earlier about team building with our company, and this is just the scale of team building, and this is just showing that if we were able to grow a team size of 50, I don't have to, but you know, if my goal is to make a $1 million plus income per year, this is how I potentially could do it. It could go other ways, but you know, if I was to help out a family with an insurance product of $350 a month, and I was able to set up an annuity that of somebody that had $140,000, and I did that every single month. Or you know, if you see the numbers, we have different people within our organization that would do those items. That could provide $1 million plus income per year. And you know, we're finishing up here, but don't have time to go into all the specifics. But the person that that did invite you onto the call, they can go over some more of those numbers with you. And this is the last slide here. I just wanted to say that this is the initial start of somebody that does work with us. The potential of what can be made here. So someone that starts with us in month one, they become a training associate. Now we are in the financial industry, so we do need to get a license, and with the state of Illinois, so we suggest getting a life and health license in the beginning, and we can go over those more details with you. And in our first month, our goal is to make somebody $3,000 in income, so that they see that what we do here is very beneficial for somebody. What we do here is doing something good for a family and helping people out, and making them $3,000 in the first month or 2 months is something that I would say is more beneficial than picking up a part-time job at Starbucks to supplement, you know, my full-time income, just to make a few extra dollars. Now you see over in month 2, again, our goal is to get someone their first promotion and do a little bit more. And, you know, with the help of a small team, we are able to make $7,000 in our second month, for a 2-month total of about $10,000. And I don't know about you, but you know, if I was looking at this for the first time and I saw that I was able to make an extra $10,000 in the next 2 months, you know, I would really want to know what I needed to do to get there. How can I put an extra $10,000 in my bank account in the next 2 months? And that's one thing that we can show you a little bit more in depth on. So that is it. That's all I have for tonight's presentation. I do want to thank everybody for getting on the call and listening in. And if there's nothing else, get back with the person that invited you down, and they'll answer any of your further questions. And I just hope you guys enjoyed the presentation tonight. So thanks. That is it.